Moses, my servant is dead. Now, arise.
I was Joshua, son of Nun. I was a slave in Egypt. I was a servant to Moses. I saw the sea divide. I tasted the manna that fell from heaven. I trembled at Sinai when fire crowned the mountain. And now, the burden had fallen upon me to lead all Israel. Mighty kings, high walls, armies without number, greater than ours. I feared their eyes upon me. I feared their hope would break in my hands. I feared I would fail them. I feared I would fail him. I was no prophet, no king, only a soldier. And yet, the Lord of hosts called my name. This is my story, the covenant of our God, the battles we fought, the inheritance promised to our fathers. Now after the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord, it came to pass that the Lord spoke to me, saying,
Moses, my servant is dead. Now, arise. Cross this Jordan, you and all this people, into the land that I give to them. Every place your foot shall tread I have given you. From the wilderness to Lebanon to the great river, the Euphrates, even to the great sea. No man shall stand against you all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, so will I be with you. I will not fail you. I will not forsake you. Be strong and courageous, for you shall lead this people to inherit the land I swore to their fathers. Only be strong and very courageous. Keep this law. Do not turn from it to the right or to the left, that you may prosper wherever you go. This book of the law shall not depart from your mouth. Meditate on it day and night. Observe to do wherever you go.
Then I commanded the officers of the people, saying, "Prepare your provisions, for within 3 days we shall cross this Jordan to possess the land which the Lord your God gives you to possess." To the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh I said, "Remember the word which Moses commanded you. Your wives, your children, and your cattle shall remain in the land, but you shall cross armed before your brothers to help them, until the Lord gives your brothers rest, as he has given you, and they also possess the land."
All that you command us, we will do, and wherever you send us, we will go. Only the Lord your God be with you, as he was with Moses.
At Shittim I called 2 men aside. I remember the look in their eyes, steady yet questioning. Jericho was not just a city, it was a fortress, proud and unbroken. Its walls rose like mountains, its gates closed to all strangers. And I was asking them to walk straight into its heart. I gave them only a few words: "Go, see the land, especially Jericho." But inside I wondered, would they return? Or would Jericho swallow them, as it had swallowed many before? They slipped into the city under nightfall, hidden among traders at the gate. Jericho's streets were narrow, shadows deep, and watchful eyes followed strangers. Yet the Lord guided their steps to the house of a woman, Rahab by name. Her dwelling clung to the wall itself, its window opening to the outside, and there, by the faint glow of a single lamp, they found shelter. But word reached the king of Jericho, "Behold, men of Israel have come tonight to search out the land." Soldiers were sent to Rahab's house. Their torches lit the doorway, their fists struck the wood, and she, with quickness of mind and courage in her heart, took the men to her roof. She hid them beneath stalks of flax, laid out in rows to dry. To the soldiers she said, "Yes, men came to me, but I did not know where they were from." At nightfall, when the gate was shut, they went out. "Pursue them quickly, you may yet overtake them." Later I heard what happened that night, how when the soldiers were gone, Rahab went up to the roof. The men were hidden beneath the flax, but she did not speak in whispers. With trembling lips, she said,
"I know that the Lord has given you the land, and that your terror has fallen upon us. All the people of the land faint because of you. For we have heard how the Lord dried up the waters of the Red Sea before you, and what you did to Sihon and Og, whom you utterly destroyed. As soon as we heard, our hearts melted. No spirits remained in any, because of you." The Lord your God, He is God in heaven above and on the earth beneath.
a woman of Jericho, declaring with her own lips what many in Israel had forgotten, that our God rules above all. Then Rahab said to them,
Swear to me by the Lord, since I have shown you kindness, that you also will show kindness to my father's house. Give me a sure sign that you will save alive my father and mother, my brothers and sisters, and all who belong to them, and deliver us from death.
And the men answered her, Our life for yours, even to death. If you do not betray this mission, then when the Lord gives us the land, we will deal kindly and faithfully with you. Then she let them down by a rope through the window, for her house was built into the city wall, and she lived in the wall itself. She said to them, Go into the hills, or the pursuers will find you. Hide there 3 days until they return, then go your way. The men said to her, This oath we swear will bind us, only if you keep this secret. When we come into the land, you shall tie this scarlet cord in the window through which you let us down. Gather your father, your mother, your brothers, and all your household into your house. Whoever is with you will be spared. But if any go out into the streets, their blood shall be on their own head. And Rahab said, According to your words, so be it. So the men went into the hills and remained there 3 days, until the pursuers had searched all along the way and returned. Then the 2 men came down from the hills, crossed the Jordan, and returned to me. They told me all that had happened, and of the woman who hid them with courage. Their words strengthened my heart. Truly the Lord has given all the land into our hands, for all the inhabitants melt away because of us. I rose early that morning, and we came to the Jordan. The river thundered before us, overflowing in its flood. I looked at the people, and I saw their fear, the weight of 40 years pressing on their faces. My own heart shook with them. But the Lord had spoken. When you see the Ark of the Covenant carried before you, follow it. So I said to all Israel, Sanctify yourselves, for tomorrow the Lord will do wonders among you. My voice trembled, not with doubt, but with awe, for I believed his word. Then I turned to the priests and commanded them, Take up the Ark of the Covenant and pass before the people. And as they lifted it upon their shoulders, I knew the Lord himself was going before us. Then the Lord said to me,
This day I will begin to exalt you in the sight of all Israel, that they may know, as I was with Moses, so I will be with you.
And I felt the weight of those words burn into my soul, for I knew this moment would not only prove me, it would reveal him. So I spoke to the people, Come near and hear the words of the Lord your God. By this you shall know that the living God is among you. The priests bearing the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord of all the earth shall set foot in the Jordan, and its waters shall be cut off, standing in a heap. So it was, when the priests who bore the Ark of the Covenant went before the people, they set their feet into the waters of the Jordan, swollen and overflowing in its flood. all the people had crossed, the Lord spoke to me again.
Take 12 men, one from each tribe, and command them to carry 12 stones from the midst of the Jordan, from the place where the priest's feet stood firm.
So I called the men, and I told them, lift these stones upon your shoulders, and carry them to the place where we will rest this night. For they shall be a sign among you. When your children ask in time to come, what do these stones mean to you? You shall tell them how the waters of the Jordan were cut off before the ark of the covenant of the Lord. These stones will stand forever as a memorial to Israel. And there, in the river's heart, I set up 12 stones where the priests had stood, and they remain to this day. When we crossed the Jordan, word spread through the land. The kings of the Amorites, the Canaanites by the sea, they trembled, for the waters had obeyed the Lord, and we walked through on dry ground. And their hearts melted, their courage was broken. Before we raised a sword, the Lord had already won the battle.
Make flint knives and circumcise the sons of Israel.
My hands trembled as I lifted the blade. It was not battle he required, but surrender. So I obeyed. The sons of Israel, uncircumcised, unmarked, were cut, and the camp groaned in pain. We lay still, defenseless, waiting, yet his hand kept us safe.
Today I have rolled away the reproach of Egypt from you.
And in that moment, the weight of our shame was lifted. Gilgal, the place of our disgrace, removed. There, we became his people once more. That night, we kept the Passover on the plains of Jericho. And the next day we ate from the land, bread, roasted grain, the fruit of promise. And the manna ceased. No longer did heaven feed us, for the Lord had given us the land. We tasted his promise with our own lips. Near Jericho I looked, and there he stood, a man with sword drawn, radiant and unshaken. I cried out, "Are you for us or for our enemies?"
Neither, but as commander of the Lord's army, I have now come. Remove your sandals, for this ground is holy.
There I knew the battle was not mine, but the Lord's. And across the plain, Jericho trembled. Its gates slammed shut, its walls sealed. None went out, none came in. The hearts of its warriors melted in fear, for the Lord of hosts had come. I looked upon those towering walls, yet I knew they were already broken.
See, I have given Jericho into your hand, with its king and mighty men of valor. You shall march around the city, all the men of war once each day, for 6 days. 7 priests, with 7 trumpets of ram's horns, shall go before the ark. But on the 7th day you shall march around the city 7 times, and the priests shall blow the trumpets, And when you hear the long blast of the ram's horn, then all the people shall shout with a great shout, and the wall of the city will fall down flat, and my people shall go up, everyone, straight before him.
Israel, listen to me. The Lord has spoken. He has given Jericho into our hands, its king, its warriors, even these walls of stone that cannot stand against him. So hear my command. Take up the ark of the covenant of the Lord. 7 priests take 7 trumpets of ram's horns and go before the ark. And you, my brothers, march with me. Circle the city as he has said. Armed men, go before the ark. For today we do not fight with sword and spear. We march in faith. And the Lord will break the walls. And so it began. The priests took up the 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the Lord, and they sounded them. Behind them, the Ark of the Covenant moved forward. Before them, the armed men advanced, and the rear guard followed after, all as the Lord commanded. We circled the city once. The people kept silent, their lips sealed, their hearts trembling. Only the sound of the trumpet echoed against the walls of Jericho. Then we returned to the camp, and we waited. On the second day we rose early. The priests lifted the ark, the trumpets sounded, and we marched again around the city. And on the third day, the same. On the fourth, the fifth, the sixth. Day after day we circled the walls of Jericho, our steps steady, our lips sealed. The city watched us in silence, their hearts melting, their courage fading. For they knew it was not we who fought, but the Lord who marched with us. But on the 7th day, we rose at dawn. We took the ark. The priests lifted the trumpets, and we marched, not once, but 7 times around the city. The sound of the ram's horns cut the morning air. The walls of Jericho trembled, and the people waited in silence. Then the priests gave a long blast on the trumpets, and I cried out to Israel, "Shout, for the Lord has given you the city."
בקול השופר, בקול הצבא
went up into the city, every man straight before him. The Lord delivered Jericho into our hands. But I commanded the people, the city and all within it shall be devoted to the Lord. Touch nothing for yourselves, lest you bring destruction upon Israel. But Rahab the harlot, and her father's household and all that she had, we spared, for she had hidden the messengers we sent, and she dwelt among Israel from that day on. And I declared before Israel, cursed be the man before the Lord who rises up to rebuild this city Jericho. At the cost of his firstborn shall he lay its foundation, and at the cost of his youngest son shall he set up its gates. And the Lord was with me, and my name spread through all the land, not because of me, but because the Lord of hosts had shown his power. For Jericho fell, and Israel believed. Israel sinned. We broke covenant with the Lord. One man, Achan of Judah, took what was forbidden, and the anger of the Lord burned against us all. I did not see, I did not know. Yet while we raised our heads in triumph after Jericho, sin lay buried beneath our feet, hidden in the earth. From Jericho I sent men to Ai. I said to them, "Go, view the land." They returned with pride, saying, "Ai is small, only a few are needed." And we believed them. We thought victory was certain, but our defeat had already begun. I sent about 3,000 men, but they fled before the men of Ai. They struck us down at the gate, and the hearts of Israel melted like water. I could not understand. After Jericho's walls had fallen, how could such a small city bring us to shame?
Lord God, why have you brought us across the Jordan, only to deliver us into the hands of our enemies, to destroy us? To dwell on the other side. Oh Lord, what shall I say when Israel turns its back before its enemies? The Canaanites will hear, they will surround us, cut off our name from the earth. And what will you do for your great name? Get up. Why do you lie on your They have taken all the accursed thing. They have stolen, they have lied, they have hidden it among their goods. Therefore, Israel cannot stand before their enemies, but turns their backs and flees, because they are accursed. I will not be with you anymore, unless the accursed thing is destroyed from among you.
Rise, sanctify the people, for thus says the Lord, there is an accursed thing in your midst, O Israel. You cannot stand before your enemies until it is taken away. Tomorrow you shall present yourselves tribe by tribe, and the one taken with the accursed thing shall be burned with fire, he and all that he has, because he has transgressed the covenant of the Lord and brought folly upon Israel. So in the morning I rose early. The tribes passed before the Lord, and the tribe of Judah was taken. From Judah, the clan of the Zarhites, from the clan, the house of Zabdi, and from the house, Achan, son of Carmi, was taken. And I said to him, My son, give glory to the Lord God of Israel, and make confession to him. Tell me what you have done, hide it not. And Achan answered, Truly I have sinned against the Lord God of Israel. I saw a beautiful Babylonian garment, 200 shekels of silver and a wedge of gold. I coveted them, I took them, I hid them in the earth inside my tent. So men ran to his tent, and there it was, hidden in the ground. They brought it before me and before the people. Then we took Achan, and the silver, and the gold, and the garment, and his sons, and his daughters, and all that he had, and we brought them to the valley of Achor. And all Israel stoned him with stones, and burned them with fire. We raised over him a great heap of stones that stands to this day. Then the Lord turned from his fierce anger, and the place was called the Valley of Achor, the Valley of Trouble, forever. I remember the silence of that morning, the weight of defeat still upon us, the ashes of sin still warm at our camp. But then, the Lord spoke to me.
Do not be afraid. Do not be dismayed. Take all the men of war with you, and rise. Go up to Ai.
And in that moment, I knew our shame would turn to victory, for the Lord had given the city, the king, the land, into our hand. So I rose, though my knees were still heavy with shame, and I gathered the men of war. Their eyes met mine, some with fear, some with fire, and I knew they looked to me for strength. By the Lord's command I chose 30,000 mighty men of valor, and in the darkness of night I sent them out to lie in wait behind Ai. The air was still, the ground cold beneath our feet, Every step whispered with the memory of our defeat. But I carried his words within me. Do not be afraid. Do not be dismayed. So I spoke to them. You shall rise as an ambush against the city. Go not far from it, but remain hidden, ready. The Lord has given this battle into our hands. I gathered the people and we set our face toward Ai once more. The sting of yesterday still clung to us, yet the Lord's promise burned brighter than our fear. I went up with the elders of Israel, the ark behind us, and the men of war before me. And I looked, some to the north, hidden in shadow, others to the west, waiting in silence. The trap already set around Ai. The city slept, its walls proud, its torches dim. They did not know the Lord himself had surrounded them. And it happened. When the king of Ai saw us, he hastened to rise early, and all his people came out against Israel to battle, not knowing that destruction waited at their back. They chased us just as before, for they thought the Lord had left us again. But I knew this was the hour he had promised. Then the Lord said to me,
Stretch out the spear in your hand toward Ai, for into your hand I will give it.
So I lifted my arm, and with all the strength of my soul I stretched the spear toward the city. And at once, the ambush rose from their hiding place. They rushed into Ai, and they set the city ablaze.
Set the fires! Move!
And when the men of Ai looked behind them, they saw the smoke of their city rising to the sky, and their hearts melted within them. No strength remained in them to flee. We turned back, face to face with those who once chased us. And the ambush came out of the city to meet them, so they were caught in the midst of Israel, some on this side and some on that. I saw their faces, the pride drained from their eyes, their hands trembling, swords falling to the ground. There was no place left for them to escape. And their king we seized alive, and we brought him before me. The city burned, every stone, every house, every wall, gone in smoke and ash. And the king of Ai, they brought him before me, and we hung him on a tree until evening. At sunset we took his body down and cast it at the gate of the city, raising a great heap of stones over him, a witness to this day. Then, when the fire had fallen silent, I built an altar to the Lord, the God of Israel, on Mount Ebal. An altar of uncut stones, just as Moses, the servant of the Lord, had commanded. No tool of iron touched them. We raised the stones rough and holy, and upon them I offered burnt offerings to the Lord and sacrificed peace offerings. There, in the presence of all Israel, I wrote upon the stones a copy of the law of Moses. The elders, the judges, the officers, all stood on either side of the ark. Half of the tribes before Mount Gerizim, half before Mount Ebal, as Moses had commanded, to bless the people of Israel.
Word of the Lord's victory spread like fire across the land. From the hills to the coastlands, kings trembled at his name. They gathered themselves into one purpose, not to repent, but to make war against us. When the people of Gibeon heard what the Lord had done to Jericho and Ai, They chose deception over battle, tearing their garments, cracking old wineskins, packing the dust of their city upon their clothes. They came to us looking like travelers from a far country, but their feet had never left the land. They came to us at Gilgal, to the place where we had set our camp before the Lord. Their words were gentle, their request bold.
We have come from a far country.
Now therefore make a covenant with us. But my men answered wisely,
Perhaps you dwell among us. How then can we make a covenant with you?
We are your servants.
Who are you? And where do you come from?
From a very far country your servants have come, because of the name of the Lord your God.
They spoke of his fame, of what he did in Egypt, of the kings who fell beyond the Jordan. They said their elders sent them, commanding them to rise early, to meet us,
We are your servants.
to speak peace. They placed the bread before us. Hot when we left our homes, they said, now dry, broken, mold in its folds. They held up their wineskins, once filled, now torn, their garments thin, their sandals cracked by dust and time. And everything we saw looked like the truth. We held their provisions before us, trusted what appeared worn by distance, and judged by what made sense in the moment. Yet we never turned toward the Lord. No sacrifice was offered. No question was lifted heavenward. We relied on ourselves, and a vow was sealed in the absence of his voice. So I made peace with them. I made a covenant, and I swore an oath before the Lord. But 3 days passed, and the truth found us. We learned they were our neighbors. Their cities stood near our camp. Their journey had never begun. I called them before me and said,
Why have you deceived us, saying you were from a far country when you dwell among us?
We knew the Lord commanded you to take this land, so we acted to preserve our lives.
I could not break the oath spoken in his name, for a covenant made before the Lord cannot be undone by anger. So I spared their lives, but I placed upon them a weight they would carry. They became servants, woodcutters, and water-bearers for the house of my God. They lived because of a vow spoken in haste. And I learned that day, obedience delayed is costly, but an oath before the Lord is sacred. When the kings of the land heard what the Lord had done, how I had fallen as Jericho fell before it, fear spread among them. For Gibeon was strong, greater than I, a royal city, and its warriors were mighty. And the king of Jerusalem sent word to the kings of Hebron, Jarmuth, Lachish, and Eglon. Come, stand with me, strike Gibeon, for they have made peace with Israel. So 5 kings gathered their armies. They rose together. They marched against Gibeon, and they made war. Then word came to me from Gibeon.
Do not abandon us. Come quickly. Save us. For all the kings of the Amorites have gathered against us.
So I rose from Gilgal. I took with me the men of war and the mighty men of valor. And the Lord said to me,
Do not fear them. I have delivered them into your hand. Not one of them will stand before you.
We marched through the night, and we came upon them suddenly. But it was the Lord who threw them into confusion before us. He struck them at Gibeon and chased them along the road to Beth-horon, to Azekah, and to Makkedah. And as they fled, the Lord hurled great stones from heaven. More fell by his hand than by the sword of Israel. Then I spoke. In the day the Lord delivered our enemies before us, in the sight of Israel.
Sun, stand still at Gibeon, and moon in the valley of Aijalon.
And the sun stood still. The moon did not move. Time itself waited until the people of Israel finished the work before them. The sun remained in the middle of the heavens. It did not hasten to go down for a whole day. There has never been a day like it. Not before, not after. For the Lord listened to the voice of a man, and the Lord fought for Israel. After the battle, we returned to the camp at Gilgal. But the 5 kings fled. They hid themselves in a cave at Makkedah. When I was told where they were, I ordered the cave sealed. Stones rolled in place, guards set. But I did not stop the pursuit. I said to the men, Do not let them escape into their cities. For the Lord our God had already delivered them into our hand. When the fighting was finished, the people returned in peace. No one dared speak against Israel. Then I commanded the cave to be opened, and the 5 kings were brought before me. I called the captains of war. I said, Come near. Place your feet upon the necks of these kings. And I told them, Do not fear, do not be dismayed, for this is what the Lord will do to all your enemies. Then judgment was carried out. At evening, their bodies were taken down. They were cast back into the cave where they had hidden, and stones were laid over its mouth. Those stones remain to this day. That day we took Makkedah, and from there we did not stop. We moved from city to city, from Makkedah to Libnah, from Libnah to Lachish. The Lord delivered them into our hand. When Gezer came to help Lachish, they fell as well. From Lachish we went to Eglon, from Eglon to Hebron, from Hebron to Debir. The hills, the south, the valleys, the springs, all their kings fell. None were left. Not because of our strength, but because the Lord God of Israel fought for us. And when it was finished, we returned to the camp at Gilgal. They came as one. From the northern hills to the Arabah, from the lowlands to the heights of Dor, the word spread. Jabin of Hatzor called, and the kings answered. They went out, armies so vast they choked the horizon. Many people, as numerous as the sand on the seashore, with horses and chariots without number. And the Lord spoke into the fear. He said,
Do not be afraid of them. For tomorrow, at this time, I will deliver all of them,
slain before Israel. You shall hamstring their horses and burn their chariots with fire.
We came upon them suddenly. The Lord delivered them into our hand. We struck, we pursued, until the land was silent. Then I turned back to Hatzor, the head of all those kingdoms. I struck its king with the sword. There was no one left who breathed. And Hatzor, I burned with fire. Every city, every king, we took them all. As the Lord commanded Moses, so Moses commanded me. I did not turn to the right or to the left. Not one word of all that the Lord commanded failed. So I took the whole land, and the land had rest from war. 31 kings, 31 kingdoms. Just as the Lord spoke, we took it all. Now I was old, advanced in years. The weight of the decades had settled into my bones. And the Lord spoke to me again, not as a commander of armies, but as the giver of rest.
You are old, Joshua, advanced in years, and yet there remains very much land to be possessed.
This is the land that yet remains. All the regions of the Philistines and Geshurites, from the Shihor River on the border of Egypt, north to the territory of Ekron. The 5 lords of the Philistines, Gaza, Ashdod, Ashkelon, Gath, and Ekron. To the south, the land of the Canaanites, and Mira that belongs to the Sidonians. The Lord promised,
I myself will drive them out before the people of Israel. Only allot the land to Israel for an inheritance.
The word of the Lord was a weight lifted from my shoulders. I was old, and I knew my days of war were ending. So I looked at the maps, I looked at the people, and I began to divide the land. I distributed the promise among the 9 tribes and the half-tribe of Manasseh. Not as a general taking spoils, but as a father giving an inheritance. The sword was finally still. The borders were set, and the inheritance had begun. I remember the day the noise of battle thinned, not because the fight was finished, but because the Lord had given us rest enough to hear ourselves breathe again. And then the word came to me clear, unsoftened by age.
Joshua, you are old, and there remains yet very much land to possess.
Not a rebuke, a reality, a mercy, because God does not hide what remains. I looked across what we held. Hills we had walked, valleys we had crossed, cities that had opened like wounds and then gone quiet. And still, coastlands, strongholds, borders not yet touched, places where the names of other gods were still spoken without fear. So the Lord instructed me, divide the land as an inheritance, not as wages, not as trophies, as gift, received and guarded. First, I confirmed what Moses had already given east of the Jordan, Reuben, Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh. Their boundaries were spoken, their towns named. I traced those lines in my mind like scars you don't forget. But there was one tribe with no measured acreage, Levi. No stripe of soil to call their own. Their inheritance was the Lord, the offerings made by fire. In a land where everyone wants a border, God placed a different kind of portion. Service, nearness, a life tied to worship. Then, before the lots fell quiet into place, a man stood up, Caleb. His hair was white, but his eyes were not dull. He came to me at Gilgal and spoke of a day I could still feel in my bones. Kadesh Barnea, the spying, the fear that swallowed a generation. He said, I was 40 then, and now he was 85. He did not ask me for an easy valley. He asked for the mountain, Hebron, where the Anakim were. Giants. He said it plainly. It may be that the Lord will be with me, and I shall drive them out, just as the Lord said. Not if I am strong, not if my men are many, only as the Lord said. So I blessed him, and Hebron became Caleb's inheritance. In that moment, I understood something. The promise does not retire when the body weakens. It asks again, who will trust me now? Judah's portion was vast, its borders described like a long testimony, south to the wilderness, west to the sea, lines cut through valleys and ridges, names tumbled like stones, towns, villages, places where children would grow and bury their dead. And within Judah, Caleb's hand did not tremble. He drove out the sons of Anak from Hebron, Sheshai, Ahiman, Talmai. Then came another name, smaller, but it stayed with me. Aksa, Caleb's daughter. When Caleb gave her in marriage to Othniel, she did something bold. She asked her father for more. Not greed, not vanity, necessity. She said, you've given me land in the Negeb. Give me springs of water also. Then Ephraim and Manasseh, Joseph's sons, received their portions. Strong tribes, many men, large expectation. Their borders were declared, their cities appointed. But there was a sentence I could not forget, because it sounded like a soft door not fully shut. They did not drive out the Canaanites in Gezer. They put them to forced labor. Not open rebellion, just partial obedience. And partial obedience leaves seeds in the ground. Manasseh's record carried another kind of weight, an old command remembered. The daughters of Zelophehad came forward, as Moses had spoken, and they received an inheritance among their father's brothers. A land is not only for warriors, it is for families, for the remembered, for those who step forward and say, "The Lord spoke." Then the sons of Joseph came to me with complaint. They said, "Why have you given us but one lot and one portion, since we are a great people?" They were many, they were strong, and they felt crowded inside the promise. I answered them as a leader who has learned that the land yields to faith, not to entitlement. If you are a great people, go up to the forest country and clear it for yourselves. You are a great people and have great power. You shall drive them out. Because iron is real, and so is God. And the test is always the same. Will you let what is difficult define what is possible? We gathered at Shiloh and set the tent of meeting at the center of the land. But 7 tribes had not taken their inheritance, not because God withheld it, because they delayed. So I said to them, "How long will you hesitate to take what the Lord has already given?" I sent men to walk the land, to measure it, and to return with witness. And we cast lots before the Lord, not chance, but surrender. Each tribe received its portion, some quietly, some with resistance still ahead. When the allotments were finished, only then did they give me my inheritance. Timnath-Serah, small, quiet, enough, because the land was never about me. God keeps his word down to the boundary lines. And still, not all was finished. Some drove out the enemy. Some made room for him. The Lord remained at Shiloh, faithful, at the center. A promised land can still require courage, even after the war is called over. These are the portions we must take, before God, without fear. You think the war is over because the swords are dry. You are wrong. The greatest battle hasn't even begun. It starts today, in your heart. Gather round, elders, judges, officers, stand before God. I am old, my time is done. But yours? Your story is just being written. Listen to the one who brought you here. Thus says the Lord, the God of Israel.
Look back. Beyond the river. Your father served stones and shadows there. But I led Abraham, I plagued Egypt. I opened the sea like a door and I slammed it shut on your enemy. I gave you land you didn't sweat for, cities you didn't lay one brick for. You eat from vineyards you didn't plant. It was a gift. All of it.
Now, pay the price. Fear the Lord, serve him with everything you are. But if it is evil in your eyes to serve him, then choose, right now, serve the dead gods of your fathers or the gods of this land. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord.
We will serve the Lord, for he is our God.
You serve him? You are not able. You are too weak. He is a holy God. He is a jealous God. He won't just overlook your betrayals. If you vow this and turn back, he will turn and consume you. Then you are witnesses against yourselves. Your own mouths have built your prison or your home. Put away your hidden idols. Incline your heart. Look at this stone. It has no ears, yet it has heard every word you spoke today. It has no eyes, yet it will watch you. Let it be a witness against you, lest you deal falsely with your God. I sent them away, every man to his inheritance.